I don't know, I was prompted to talk this evening because I ran around the park. I walked around the park this evening with Suzanne, and I ran around today. I don't know if any of you have seen this. There are signs about running now. There's like a whole campaign to get people to be outdoors. And there's one in the park, Sefton Park, and there's one on the prom. And it gives you instructions on where to run and how to run. And they're really good, you know, it's kind of... but there's one instruction that I really don't like, and it says, remember to relax and control your breath. And I'm thinking, that's a complete contradiction, you know. You can't relax and control your breath at the same time. But it reminded me of exactly what happens in meditation. You know, people can get... As soon as you start thinking about your breath or you become self-conscious, then it gets in your throat, it just goes all over the place. So, as far as I'm concerned, breathing is, in meditation, is completely natural. You don't make any effort at all. The same as when you're walking down Ball Street, you don't think, how am I going to breathe? You just walk down Ball Street and you breathe. And it's exactly the same in meditation. You know, I'm not a big fan of technique in that respect. But it reminded me of something I'd also just read that Suzuki wrote, D.T. Suzuki, who has his fans and has his detractors, but who I really like. And this is what he said, and I think it's really worth listening to, because in a way it's the essence of Zen practice. He says, man is a thinking reed, but his great work is done when he is not calculating and thinking. Childlikeness has to be restored with long years of training in the art of self-forgetfulness. When this is attained, man thinks, yet he does not think. He thinks like showers coming down from the sky. He thinks like the waves rolling on the ocean. He thinks like the stars illuminating the nightly heavens. He thinks like the green foliage shooting forth in the spring breeze. Indeed, he is the showers, the ocean, the stars, and the foliage. So it's all about this self-forgetting. Is exactly what it says. It's about forgetting the self. It's about being unself-conscious. Which I know is a bugbear for us all, and the reason that being unself-conscious is a bugbear is because the self is on constant guard and constant watch, and the last thing it wants is to be forgotten, because if it is forgotten, you might do something that lets it down. So, but this practice is essentially about that, and it's what Zazen is about. So, establishing a formal practice, or at least a regular practice, is the first step, in a way, the first movement on the path toward being natural. And to begin with, we have to try to be natural, which is another contradiction. So it's all a razor's edge. But once we develop a formal practice, then we can start to, I don't know how it works, but it does seem to happen that we become less self-conscious and more at ease in ourselves. And there's a few things I want to say around that. The first one is, you establish a formal practice, but for me it's really important that you don't force yourself to sit. If you don't want to sit, don't sit. Equally, when there's a part of you that's saying, actually, it would be a really good idea if you sat, don't avoid it either. So it's about being aware of yourself, of your own resistances and your own polarities, if you like. So quite a few folk ask me about sitting, you know, and then they're resistant to it, and they don't want to, and they have to force it. And I wouldn't recommend that. Equally, I'd be very careful about where the resistance is coming from. So it's a middle path, you know. And then the second thing, these are all basic things about sitting. What will certainly happen when you start sitting, and then less often, but definitely occasionally, is that you'll have a flash of a sense of bliss, or a sense of a unit of experience. As Suzuki says, you know, you feel like you're the showers, you feel like you're the trees, you feel like you're the sun. But these experiences are of that moment. They reflect your mind or your being at that time. And it's really important to just let go of that. If these come up, let go of them, enjoy them, and, you know, enjoy the taste of them, but let them go. Because the memory you have is just that. It's just a memory, and it's not a direct experience. And a direct experience only arises spontaneously, and it only arises unself-consciously. So as soon as you're self-consciously trying to create an experience, it won't happen. So, and a few other things. One metaphor that's used in sitting that I like, you know, is that there's this part of us which is like the flagpole, if you like. You know, there's a flagpole with a flag on it, and the flag's waving in the wind and blowing all over the place, depending on, well, sometimes, you know, there's no wind, it doesn't blow. But like our minds, it blows all over the place. Sometimes it's calm. There is a part of ourselves which you could call a flagpole, which remains steady, and that's the place that we want to access, where we can sit with that steadiness and calmness. But we can't attach to it. It just, again, it arises as you sit, and whether or not you have thoughts doesn't matter. You know, thinking, I've said this over and over again, but it's really worth reinforcing that the mind's natural function is to think. That's what it does. But resting in that place where it's naturally, you know, thoughts are naturally arising, and just being present to them is completely different than trying to sit in a place where you willfully decide that you will not think. It's a bit like that sign, you know, telling you to relax when you're running and also control your breath. It's like telling you to not think about monkeys. You know, it doesn't work. So there really isn't any way to achieve thoughtless meditation. There isn't. I don't think there is. And probably if there was, you could probably become an extra in one of those zombie films. You know, you would have gone. So, equally, you will sometimes experience a time when very little arises, you know, and you can be bored. And that's really okay as well. You know, you're not going to have fireworks all the time. It's really okay to be bored. And finally, perhaps the most important thing for me is there are no good thoughts and there are no bad thoughts. When you're doing Zazen, there's no good thoughts and there's no bad thoughts. They're just thoughts. And as soon as you bring judgment to bear, you've already created a separation and a polarization in yourself, you know. So essentially we just allow ourselves to be aware, we just allow ourselves to be present without judgment, and we do it, and we do it again, and we do it again, and it's a lifelong practice, and it seems so simple. But within this tradition, the intention of this practice of Zazen, the heart of Zen practice, is to allow us a direct experience of what the Buddha experienced. That's the plan. And within this tradition, that has been found to be the I don't know what adjective to use, the best route, the quickest route, what Zazen does and how it does it is a mystery. It is a mystery. I don't know how it works. Does anybody know how it works? Does Zazen work? It's a funny business, isn't it? It doesn't work really.
One definition, maybe, I forget it. Zazen. Za means maybe to be undisturbed without, and to be undisturbed within.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Just to be undisturbed.
That's nice. It's nice, but yeah. That what it creates, but how it creates it, why it happens is. So we just sit upright, and we allow our delusions to be present. We don't try and unpick them or analyze them. We just allow them to be. We allow thoughts to arise and to go. It's a natural function. We maintain good posture. That's really important. It's perhaps I don't emphasize enough. You've got to maintain really good posture, good, straight back without it being like a ramrod. And ideally we allow ourselves to be breathed. And it becomes a kind of vehicle or a fairness even sometimes that enables us to use all the things that come up in our life, like suffering as well as the good things, and we see that they're an intrinsic part of our lives, and hopefully through Zazen we can integrate them into a complete and whole life in which we don't exclude anything because of some concept we have about what, the way we should be or the way we shouldn't be. So I would say that finally, I'd hope, and hope for you, that Zazen is a way of training to live in a creative way. I think that's the only way I can say it really, and that seems to me to be quite exciting really, to come out of just sitting quietly. Zazen is definitely not a technique or method for training yourself to be calm and tranquil, by the way. It isn't that, although...
or happy.
Pardon?
Or happy.
Or happy, even although that comes along, that would be very nice.
I thought for the first year or two that Zazen would guarantee me complete and utter happiness.
Okay.
Probably for the next 30 years.
What a disappointment. No, finally it's about cultivating awareness. Yeah. Was it Blake or Aldous Huxley that said that cleansing the
Doors of perception.
cleansing the doors, cleansing the windows, and the windows is better than cleansing the windows of perception. Doors are opaque, aren't they? Windows. Cleansing the windows of perception. That's the plan. Have you all got your window ladders ready? And
Sensei, I really like that comment by Steve Hagen where he says he couldn't understand why his teacher told him at first that meditation was literally useless.
Okay.
Because he went into it, as I did, I think, hoping for some goal. But it's after a bit you realise it is literally useless. Because as soon as you set up an objective outside of yourself, you've lost.
You've gone, yeah. Yeah, so welcome to the Zendo of uselessness. What was that when you cleaned your windows? I'm thinking you might know, Linda, that there was like a linen thing that you shine them with afterwards.
Shamming. Shamming.
No, was it called a scrim? A scrim.
Is a scrim or a screep?
Is it Greek scrim?
Scrim.
Okay, I'm sure there was some material called a scrim, and the best window cleaners had a scrim.
I thought it was newspaper.
Oh but that's the amateur professional.
That's the poor person's scrim.
It's the poor person's scrim, rough linen, I think it was, like a brown rough linen. Anyway, okay, I'm finished. Anybody would like to contribute anything for our? I'm sure you've got really fantastic things to say.
You've let me off the hook because I haven't sat for a while.
Okay.
You just let me off the hook sitting that so.
Okay.
Beat myself up.
Have you beaten yourself up?
Great now.
Okay. Stop it.
Is it possible that you simply can't talk about it? You can't describe it, you can't teach anybody how to do it?
I agree. At the same time, it's good fun, isn't it, to talk about it?
Yeah.
Gives you an opportunity to, have communion with somebody else.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, ultimately. Wittgenstein said it, so you're in good company.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, for something that we can't talk about, I think there would be more books written about Zen than anything else.
It's an industry.
It's an industry, I used to be part of it, Okay.